Hey, welcome back to our show, TMJ Unlocked. I'm Dr. Gunnarsson, and I'm here with Minnie Lunsford, and we are with TMJ and Sleep Therapy Center of Utah. And today we're building on last week's taping episode that we did. And because here's the deal, taping is helpful, but it's not the whole story. And so if you're serious about breathing better, sleeping better, and fixing the why behind mouth breathing, snoring, or jaw pain, then we've got to talk about myofunctional therapy. So let's dive in. Why tape isn't enough? Why tape isn't enough? Mouth taping is awesome. Don't get me wrong, it's awesome. It reminds your body to keep things nasal at night, keep you breathing through your nose and not through your mouth. But what happens when you take the tape off? You know, if your tongue is still low, your lips still apart, the airway muscle's still weak, you're going to return right back to the same way. You're going to go right back to mouth breathing because you haven't trained these things. So taping is really a tool to help us in breathing better at night. But myofunctional therapy is what creates long-term change.
So what is myofunctional therapy? It's a big word, right? But basically the simple breakdown is that myofunctional therapy is like personal training for your face, your neck, and your breathing muscles. Our goal is to have closed mouth nasal breathing because nasal breathing, as we discussed before in a previous podcast, is the healthiest way to breathe. And we want to focus on developing the muscles necessary to help attain that. And a lot of it has to do with correct tongue posture. So if your tongue is in the correct spot, it supports the nasal breathing because it seals off the airway coming through the mouth. So even if your lips did happen to part, you don't have that airflow coming in. The mouth being a much bigger opening than the nose. If your tongue is not in correct tongue posture, as soon as those lips part, that air is going to come into that area of least resistance, which is through the mouth, and it is not a healthy way to breathe. And it changes the oxygenation of your body. So we want to be breathing through our nose and supporting that with correct tongue posture, helping with that. We will also help with strengthening muscles so that you can have a comfortable lip seal, because ideally we do want your lips closed even if your tongue is in correct position. And that's going to help support the nasal breathing, but it's also going to help with facial development in young children and also improve and correct the swallow. So if you're having issues or you know of somebody who is having issues with swallow, that's a tongue issue that myofunctional therapy can work with as well. So it's about function and how all of the muscles work together for optimal health.
So here's why myofunctional therapy isn't just a fringe therapy. Tongue posture helps keep the airway open. Proper muscle function can reduce snoring and sleep apnea. We've talked about that. Myo works help guide healthy facial growth, especially in children. And it can improve your TMJ pain, speech issues, and even orthodontic results. It's interesting because orthodontics is there to correct the teeth and move the teeth into a nice aesthetic appearance. Not so much as function like it used to be. However, it returns right back to the way it was because what made it the way it was in the first place was tongue posture, lip seal, cheek muscles.
Function.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's just going to return things back. Myofunctional therapy can really, really help because you've invested so much in getting that orthodontic, that perfect smile right. And then here you go. You need some myofunctional therapy. So that's where myofunctional therapy plays such an important role.
Yes. So myofunctional therapy, working with mouth tape, where we were going to kind of bring this full circle where we were talking about mouth tape and the need for myofunctional therapy, is finding that sweet spot, that balance of using both, because the mouth tape is the tool and the myofunctional therapy fixes the dysfunction. Combined together, it kind of creates that whole therapy effect that people really need, because taping is more of like putting it like a cast would be, and then the myofunctional therapy would be like the physical therapy after the cast comes off, I guess. The other thing with myofunctional therapy is we work for training during the day to help create those neural connections while your body is alert and awake doing the particular exercises that we train for. And then eventually, as those neuroconnections and corrections happen during the day and those habits are forming, then it'll transition over to the night. So it'll improve better sleep quality as you work on the exercises during the day. And that's why just that mouth taping at night isn't necessarily just enough, because you're not awake and alert. So you're not making those neuroconnections to make those corrections happen. But for the best long-term overall results, you want to do both together and working with a myofunctional therapist to create an appropriate program individualized to each person. So both are good, but only myofunctional therapy is going to rebuild the dysfunctional foundation.
Right. So this is especially important for children. Kids who mouth breathe, snore, or have open mouth posture, this work of myofunctional therapy can literally change the shape of how their face grows and change their lives. I mean, we're talking narrow jaws, long faces, braces that relapse, speech issues, and poor sleep and behavior. Myofunctional therapy can catch these problems early and guide healthier development of all of the facial structures and before it becomes a bigger issue.
Right. So myofunctional therapy plan is going to look like being assessed by a myofunctional therapist that will give you some daily exercises to be doing with the lips, tongue, cheek, even some swallow function, and then some habit tracking progress that we do. And when needed, we'll be collaborating with ENTs, dentists, and airway specialists to help you improve your health. So so it's really a great thing to look into if you are having difficulty with sleeping, breathing, swallowing, or if you notice anyone who is breathing through their mouth.
So here's the bottom line. Mouth taping is a great tool. It works. We know that it works, but it's not a long-term fix on its own. Myofunctional therapy is what helps your body make breathing through your nose your default mode, day and night. And so it's gentle, it's non-invasive, and it works. If you've tried mouth taping but still feel off, or if you've got snoring, sleep apnea, TMJ, or a kid with the signs of airway dysfunction, myofunctional therapy might just be the missing piece. And so I want to thank you for joining us this week as we discuss taping and myofunctional therapy and the importance of why myofunctional therapy is there. Like she said, taping is the cast, and it's what's holding the things in place as they train and heal. Myofunctional therapy is really the physical therapy after the fact that keeps you going. And I often tell people, it's really easy to sit down, okay, and set out a plan that says, I'm going to teach myself to play the piano. Fact is, I'm not going to do it. I just, because I don't have someone to report to. Think of myofunctional therapy as that person who guides and directs your therapy and helps you report to somebody. Yes, that hold you accountable. So thank you for joining us this week. If you have a friend or family member that snores, children that snore, please let us know. We'd love to help you out.